On today's Prophetic Rewind.
Tell my people, it's not time to give up. This is not time to give up. This great harvest that we've all been waiting for is at hand. I really believe it.
Russia, you wimp! You double-minded, deceitful liar! You plan behind their back, smile to their face with your crooked teeth. God said, I will not tolerate this indignant. For it is actually the Spirit of God that they are doing it to. Now the grief has come and the grief shall go, for it has affected my body, my church. The finances have been low, the people have been low. Enough of low, says the Lord. Enough of sorrow, enough of mourning, enough! Now let my rain come to you. In the fall months, says the Lord, let it come to you. I've begun something that no man has seen, barring a few. But God said it shall come to pass that as they approach subtly, and they say, we have a friend in the White House. They say, we have a friend, those of the Middle East, Syria, Iran, we have a friend. His name is Obama. The Spirit of the Lord said it shall not be so. And unless there is a love, a captivating love from that president, this king that I placed, to speak to America, to teach them a lesson. If there is not an embracing and a love for my Israel, I will remove him. If he would embrace and he would take on the stance that America has stood for all through the years, I will indeed bless this nation in a way that they have never ever seen before. Therefore God says, pray for this president and pray for your nation, that I may come and pour my Spirit out, says the Lord. Shout to the Lord. Just lift your hands to Him one more time. Your peace, Lord, that passes all understanding is what I pray for right now. Just pray it loud, just for a minute. Pray like you always pray. Let me hear you.
I just want to take a quick moment, and I won't take too long, but I just wanted to interject here and thank all of you for supporting Prophetic Rewind. You have no idea how much it helps me with continuing the legacy of my father. Because as many of you know, his prophecies are still coming to pass. And what God did in my father was not confined to one human life. It was what God was doing. And that's why Prophetic Rewind is so important, because there are vital and essential things for the body of Christ that could only come from a true prophet of God. And that's what Prophetic Rewind is all about. And so when you support Prophetic Rewind, you are supporting me continuing that legacy, not only of my father, but what God was doing through my father. And that's going to help me do so many things. There are albums, books of his prophecies, and so many other things that I'm working on. And when you support Prophetic Rewind, when you give an offering to that, you are still giving to the prophet and to what God was doing through him. So I won't take any more of your time, because we're going to go right back in there. But thank you again, and let's go.
If we look at the prophetic word that came fresh from God, you will see that He's giving him an opportunity.
Yeah.
He's giving this president, he said, the king that I chose to teach this country a lesson. Well, we've learned a lesson, haven't we? You know, you put someone in charge that's a narcissist, and you've got yourself a few problems here, a person that doesn't really care. But I want you to know something, that God still honors that authority.
Yeah.
And so He gave him an opportunity, and He even said, if you would embrace my Israel and have the same love and take the same stand that America has taken, and then I will bring a blessing upon this nation like you've never seen. Now, I've been prophesying those blessings and how we are resilient But he says, if there's not an embracing and a love for my Israel, I will remove him. Now, that's very important you understand. So he's giving him a chance.
Yeah.
And he's telling him that. He said, now, there must be a love. Now, while I was doing the prophetic word, and you may see me standing there and doing this and everything, sometimes my spirit actually, it feels like it's not doing that, is being taken somewhere. You know, and I heard these conversations with these leaders, the Iranian leader and Russian, them different leaders saying what they were going to do. And he said I heard them saying it, America and Israel, we will name them by other names. And he said they will no longer be called America, and they were almost gleefully saying it as if they've won the battle already. I don't know where this confidence is coming from.
Well, Kim, that's the whole basis of Islamic theology, is they believe, they're absolutely convinced that they are not just going to have an Islamic state, but an Islamic world. And it is part and parcel of their belief system. And so that is where the confidence is. And they feel that it's an inevitable thing.
Now, Fiona, they feel it's an inevitable thing, and yet the Bible clearly shows what the outcome is. Are we drawing near to that time? The way I prophesied, I've never given a prophecy that would almost make it sound like that battle is about to take place.
Well, Kim, that really
people ask me, Fiona, they've asked me, how long do you think? And I've said, a few more 100 years. Mm-hmm. Because really, quite honestly, I'm just prophesying, and I'm not thinking about that stuff.
Yeah.
But now that these prophecies are coming out of my mouth, I'm realizing this is a very, very, very serious thing. And when I was taken in the spirit to these rooms where they were talking, I heard them saying that, and they will rename Israel Ishmael. Why would they ever want to do that? What's the deal on that?
Well, the deal there, Kim, is that one of the holiest festivals of Islam is their celebration of something that is a total lie. Because they believe, and the Quran teaches, that as we as Christians believe and Jews believe, that Abraham was asked by God to sacrifice Isaac. They believe it wasn't Isaac, it was Ishmael.
Oh.
And the whole point of the battle for the Temple Mount really centers around that thing, because the holiest mosque in all of Islam is based in Mecca, over this place called Kaaba. The second holiest is in Medina, and it's a mosque built over the site of Muhammad's house, but it was built after his death. But the third mosque is built over where the Porch of Solomon was, and that's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. However, close to the Al-Aqsa Mosque is the Dome of the Rock, that huge golden dome, the Mosque of Omar. And that is actually over the site that they believe the Holy of Holies in the temple was. But even more significant, that was the place where Abraham actually was asked by God to sacrifice Isaac. And you've preached on it so powerfully. As his hand was raised, God stopped him. That was the actual site of where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. It's also the spot where when David saw the angel of the Lord about to destroy Jerusalem, and he called out to God, and it was on Araunah's threshing floor. That was actually the rock where the sacrifice was made. And what has happened now is that the Muslims have got it under their control. They believe it wasn't Isaac who was placed upon the altar. It was Ishmael, Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant, her son. And so the fact that they've got a mosque there, to them, speaks of the fact of their supremacy over Judaism, their supremacy over Christianity, and that everything has been superseded by the Quran and by the revelation given to Muhammad. And it shows, as long as that stands there, they believe that it speaks of their supremacy as a world religion.
So them wanting to build a mosque.
Well, the mosque is there.
The very place where 9/11 took place. What is their message? What are they trying to say?
That they have supremacy over America. And so that is so interesting to me that you heard those leaders speaking and conspiring, because it's not even as if you've studied all this and thought it through, but they really would love to see Israel completely extinguished and Ishmael in its place. And for America, that speaks of the place right now. They actually succeeded in hitting America on her own soil. So to establish a place of worship there would be something that to them would speak of supreme importance.
Okay, I must remind you, though, of what he said. not only has he written this in his word, but clearly said in this day and age through a prophet, he said these words. He says, I'm not impressed with your horses and chariots, meaning our armies and our defense and all that. He said, they've looked upon that little land and said, we want you upon my Israel. And the Lord said, are not my promises clear and evident? And I myself will be the captain of the host. In other words, this is not going to be a man leading an army or a general or a king, even though they will. It made it sound like he was going to do something as this continues, where he says, I myself will be the captain of the host, the general of the army that will shake the earth as Iran creeps forward, creeps forward, creeps forward. Now we know what's going on. We all know that from the news, but this is very much clearer. And he says, I will be the general of the army. He says, as Iran comes and says, this will be the final battle, so I, the Lord, say to you, watch as I display my magnificence. And you know, he speaks about, I will ruin them before they even get to your seashores. You know, it reminds me of 2 Chronicles chapter 20, where Jehoshaphat stands there and they've got absolutely nothing. And in the middle of this, the prophet stands up and prophesies and gives them their strategy and says to them, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And as these armies came forward to destroy them, the Lord set ambushments against them. They destroyed themselves. Yeah. And I see the exact same thing happening here. So I want you to be encouraged, all of you, to be encouraged that the Lord is speaking about battles and all this, and we know it's evident, but now he's telling us that he himself will intervene, and it'll be one heck of a thing, because there's going to be a breakthrough in Israel as well and in America. You know, I want you to share just a little bit more because we've got some time left. I just feel like, you know, let's talk about the root.
The root.
You mentioned that today about the church being confounded because just share that with the people for a few minutes.
You know, when a tree is healthy, its root system is healthy. And then from the root, the branches grow properly, and the fruit that comes from those branches is healthy and very edible. When something goes wrong with the root system, the fruit that comes out is withered and it's sparse. And, you know, for many, many years, I've heard about how Christianity is advancing and how many converts there are. And yet my observation is, as I've traveled around, and really I've been ministering for over 30 years, I've noticed that so much of what looks like church growth is actually not church growth at all. It's the transfer of people from one church to another. It's like this great shifting Christian population. And the signs are that even after crusades, although many people get saved, if you look for them a little while later, they've really fallen by the wayside. And I think that the reason for this is that the church has been cut off from the root system, the healthy root system of really understanding that the Jewish faith is what Christianity came out of. And as anti-Semitism came into the church in the 2nd century, and really has been evident right up to the 21st century, where we believe that the church has replaced Israel instead of recognizing that we partakers together in their promises. You know, the Bible talks about an olive tree, and the patriarchs are the root system of that olive tree. And everything pertaining to national Israel is really what God grew from the patriarchs. And then in Romans, it speaks about how some of, not all, but some of those branches of the natural olive tree were broken off through unbelief. And so the Gentiles were grafted in to that. And we are partakers together with them. And as long as we recognize that we are sharers in the covenants and the promises, I believe that then we're going to see great fruit to the Christian church. But because we've really been cut off from the root system by believing that God has finished with national Israel and don't recognize much of what the word says, the fruit within the Christian church is really not nearly as plentiful as it should be. And Kim, with you were singing about the rain falling and the latter rain. And there is a mighty, mighty revival that God wants to bring to the whole earth. And he wants to bring it as well as the Spirit is poured out on national Israel. And that's when we're really going to see the global harvest we all feel in our hearts is coming.
I just love what you just said, because as you said that, I felt the Spirit of God saying to me, tell my people, it's not time to give up. This is not time to give up. This is this great harvest that we've all been waiting for is at hand. I really believe it.
You know what I love about the prophetic is you get so close to the heart of God. You hear His mind, His thoughts, what He plans to do. You know, you need this on a regular basis. And there are millions of viewers all over the world that experience this twice a week, sometimes even more, at my den. And you can experience it as well. I would love to have you there. All you got to do is go to kim.tv. We have so much. We have worship. We have songs that come from the heart of God, prophetic words about things that have not happened yet. That's what we say to the people, welcome to the future. And I want you to experience that. I look forward to seeing you there.